All right, guys, welcome to another Real Talk with the Hollywood Kid mini reel. On this episode, we will be featuring the evening of November 5th, 1954, the Wrong Door Raid. On the evening of November 5th, 1954, 37-year-old Florence Kotz was asleep at her West Hollywood apartment around 11:30 in the evening when all hell broke loose. Guys, hold this thought because we're going to get back to her in a couple of minutes. Okay, so let's get into how we got into November 5th, 1954. Joe DiMaggio's marriage to Marilyn Monroe was a very rocky one, to say the least. Joe was a very insanely jealous man, and throughout their marriage, there was also reports that Joe even got physical with Marilyn on many occasions. Joe was an old school kind of cat, and he wanted her to pretty much give up her acting career, if you can get your head around that, and settle down to a more quiet life. But that wasn't going to happen, Joe. Sorry, Joe. I mean, maybe you should have married somebody less known as Marilyn Monroe. Things really came to a boil in their marriage during the production of Billy Wilder's romantic comedy, The 7-Year Itch, that starred the lovely Marilyn Monroe in this film. And if you remember this film, guys, the iconic scene in which Marilyn Monroe's skirt flies up as she steps onto a subway grate. Joe was on set that night, unfortunately, and he saw the filming of this iconic scene, as well as 5,000 onlookers that were also watching the scene. And this drove Joe completely insane. And this didn't really fly over too well with the Yankee Clipper. And he actually went over to Marilyn Monroe on the set and berated her. And I believe he even gave Billy Wilder a tongue lashing as well. That night, after they went back to their hotel, they argued quite a bit, and Joe became physically abusive towards Marilyn, and that was the final straw for her. As soon as she got back to Los Angeles, she called her attorney, and they had a very famous press conference on the lawn of 508 Palm Drive, a house that Joe and Marilyn rented. Now, this was at a press conference that informed the press that Marilyn was filing for divorce. It was eventually granted on October 27th, 1954, 9 days before the infamous Wrong Door Raid. Now, guys, Joe was very jealous of Marilyn Monroe. He always thought that the reason why she wanted a divorce because she was having an affair with her voice coach, Hal Schaefer, and he might have been right on that, in my opinion. So, anyways, he's eating dinner on November 5th, 1954, at Villa Capri. Joe, Patsy, Frank Sinatra, they have a little dinner, couple of drinks, and Joe's still fuming because she just filed for divorce 9 days prior. So Frank, being the dear friend that he was, said, "Hey, listen, when Ava Gardner was screwing around on me, I hired this guy named Barry Radzinski." Barry Radzinski is a very well-known guy in town. He was a former NYPD police officer. He owned a couple of private agencies around town. And he said, "Listen, why don't you hire Barney? And he can follow Marilyn Monroe around for you to get some evidence. So this way you won't get buried in court, Joe." So that's what they did. Frank also told me, he said, "Listen, you're divorced, dude. She wants to screw around. It's her business." But he always thought that she was screwing around with her voice coach, Hal Schaefer. Okay, so a call comes in to Villa Capri from Barry Radzinski, and he said that his rookie private eye, Phil Irwin, saw Marilyn Monroe's Cadillac parked in front of 8120 Waring Avenue. Now, they all jet out of there, Frank and Joe, as well as Patsy D'Amore and John Simonola. So when they get on the scene, guys, Phil Irwin's there, the rookie detective, as well as Barney Radzinski. I know it's Barney, guys. I said Barry, but don't correct me. Don't give me no crap. But and their wives. So it's pretty much a family affair, and they're figuring out in front of the apartment building, 8120 Waring, where to go in, which door to go in by, and they make a really serious flaw. Okay, so now they're all standing in front of the apartment building. It's a 2-story building at the corner of Waring and Kilkea Avenue. 2 units, 8120 and 8122, fronted Waring. The third unit, 754 Kilkea Drive, faced the other side. Okay, so again, as I said, they're all standing in front of the building, waiting to come up with a plan. Who's going to make a plan? So instead of going to the front entrance, the geniuses that they were at the time, they decided to go further left of the building. And that's where it really, really went down. Joe, Frank, Radzinski. Oh, did I mention there was a gentleman there with a camera? Now, guys, these are the cameras you used to see in the old Three Stooges episodes. The big heavy ones with the flash. This is not an Instagram photo or an iPhone camera. Anyways, so they're standing there, and all of a sudden, again, Radzinski, Joe DiMaggio, Frank Sinatra, and some cameraman break the window, break the door, the glass on the side door, kick the door in, really kicking the crap out of the thing, breaking wood, glass all over the place, and they storm in. It's pitch dark, and they find poor Mrs. Cots sleeping with hair rollers in her hair. Now get your head around that. Frank Sinatra, Joe DiMaggio standing in front of you, okay, at 11:30 in the evening, and you don't even have any makeup on. So the photographer gentleman starts taking pictures, and his flash is going on. So poor Mrs. Cots can't really see what the heck is going on and who's standing before her. And all of a sudden, somebody yells out, "It's the wrong apartment!" Really? And they jet out of there like a bat out of hell. Okay, so poor Mrs. Cots, she quickly picks up the phone, and the police quickly arrive to her apartment and start questioning her to what happened. They interviewed the poor woman, and she said the place was full of men. I saw one of them, there was flashes going off. I saw one of them holding something, and it looked like a weapon. And now remember, nobody knows who came into the apartment that night. So to keep that in mind, guys, as you're listening to this, nobody knows who they're talking about. They just think it's 4 intruders or 4 or 5 guys kick the door in and start taking pictures or whatever. Now, here's a really fun part to just tell you how stupid these guys were. They left a car behind. Hold on, I'll say that again. They left a vehicle behind. They all jumped in a car and took off. Can you picture DiMaggio and Sinatra go, what are you doing in the car? Dude, where's your car? Oh, crap, it's back at the apartment building. You idiot! All right, guys, so this story actually, believe it or not, went dark for nearly a year. And then out of nowhere, exploding onto the scene in September of 1955, Confidential magazine, guys, which was pretty much like a TMZ, trashier version, if that's possible, of TMZ back then. Its owner, Robert Harrison, had many, many sources at his disposal. And it was in that 1955 September issue that they published a photo of Marilyn Monroe, in the teaser line promised to reveal, quote, the real reason Marilyn had divorced baseball legend Joe DiMaggio. It was in that story that the world was introduced to the wrong door raid. Guys, get your head around Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe, Joe DiMaggio, 3 of the biggest names at that time. And Joe DiMaggio and Frank Sinatra are really, really publicly humiliated by this scene when all the sources, everything came out. That's another story. They don't know who ratted them out. Radzinski said it wasn't him. Obviously, it wasn't DiMaggio, and Sinatra wouldn't do it. So everybody assumed that it was Phil Irwin, the rookie detective, and he later, I believe, he went on to testify that everything that Sinatra and Joe DiMaggio said at the hearing, it was all BS. Yeah, they were the guys that went in that night. And so he probably got some money from this Harrison character because he was a real shady kind of guy. And so one night, Sinatra was sleeping in around 1957, early hours, I'm not sure about the month. I think it was February of 1957, 4 in the morning. And 2 ununiformed LAPD officers smash into Sinatra's house and hand him a subpoena. And Frank wasn't too happy about it, and he had to testify to what went down that night in front of a grand jury. And again, a lot of public humiliation. And DiMaggio, I don't believe he ever testified. Another interesting side note to this guy: Radzinski charged Joe DiMaggio $800, and DiMaggio told me you could put that $800 where the sun don't shine. And Sinatra had to pay Radzinski for his services. Doesn't surprise me. DiMaggio was as cheap as they come. Also in that year, 1957, California Attorney General Pat Brown took Confidential magazine to trial. This was labeled as the trial of the century. I mean, big deal back then. nothing really came about it. It was really like a dud. And they told Harrison, the owner of the magazine, listen, he told the attorney general, listen, I'll just stop reporting on famous Hollywood celebrities, and that was the end of it. And the case was closed. In September of 1958, the Wrong Door lawsuit was brought against Sinatra, Joe DiMaggio, Phil Irwin, Radzinski, Patsy D'Amore, and John Seminola. And D'Amore must have been like, well, how the hell did I get involved in this? Poor Mrs. Kotz. She settled out. Her settlement was $7,500 back in 1958. In today's money, that was $68,778.87, guys. Pretty big money back then. And poor Mrs. Kotz, maybe she can, I don't know, get a massage or new hair curlers. Interesting side note, as always, guys. Who Marilyn Monroe was with that night? My guess that her friend Sherry or Sheila Stewart, an actress friend, gave her the key, and she would screw around with Hal Schaefer over there at the apartment. But Hal Schaefer later went on to say that he would admit years later that he was in the apartment that night, only he was upstairs, guys. You just got to go upstairs, man. I mean, what the hell? And they were fooling around, and they heard a lot of noise, and they just got out of Dodge, and before all hell broke loose. And so that's it, guys. Another great mini reel, guys, if I should say so myself. This is a story that a lot of people, you guys in my audience, don't really know about, but you keep it right here. You'll know about these little interesting side stories that nobody really knew about in the golden age of Hollywood. That's what we do here. And again, please subscribe to this channel. If you're new to this channel, there's a ton of content on here with similar mini reels. There's great interviews from Hollywood's golden age. There's a lot of work that goes into this, and the person that does it is talking right now. I do all this work here by myself, and I really wish I knew what the hell I was doing, because, but it is very difficult to do for an older gentleman as myself. And so please subscribe to this channel. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. Don't get too nasty in the comments, because I will hit you back, and believe that. And that's it. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell all your enemies about this YouTube channel, Real Talk with the Hollywood Kid. And click that little bell so you get notified when I do put up a new video, because these are really good stuff. And that's it, guys. Hope you enjoy this mini reel. We'll see you next time on Real Talk with the Hollywood Kid. Bam!